Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
You're listening to Believe You Me with Michael the Count Bisping.
You know my name yet?
And Anthony Lionheart Smith.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are finally back. It is 2024. The BYM pod is back, and so is the one and only Mr. Lionheart himself, Anthony Smith. Happy New Year, brother.
Yeah, Happy New Year. We're going to set these New Year's resolutions that we're not going to ever accomplish. Man, it's so funny seeing all these like New Year's. No, you're not going to do that. I know you're not. It's not happening.
Dude, it's so we didn't even plan on talking about this at all. I failed already. I'm like, I'm doing dry January. I'm not drinking
it's
the
fucking
drop.
noon.
I'm not that bad.
Fuck it.
Last night, so I didn't get back from England till Saturday evening. So we were exhausted. We were like zombies. New Year's Eve, same thing. We were dead. So then last night, I'm like, well, let's treat it like it's New Year's Eve now. You know, and we didn't go crazy or nothing, but had a little bit of alcohol. I had 2 drinks. That's all it is. But technically failed miserably. What is your resolution? Do you have one?
No, I don't really have one. This is the same shit I always want to do. I need to have a better routine when I'm not in training camp. I think that's kind of been my main one. I got to do a better job of keeping my weight down and staying in better shape in between fights instead of just messing around. But that's kind of always been my goal.
People always say the problem is with these resolutions is that they set goals that are far too big, that are unachievable. So, of course, they fail miserably. So we always want to be a better version of ourselves. One little thing that I'm going to do is that when I wake up, I'm going to get out of bed. Now, that seems like an obvious thing, but Rebecca's she's such a saint. She wakes up, she goes and makes the coffee, and she brings it to bed. Right, so I drink the coffee in bed, and then I go, will you make me another coffee? And she goes and brings me another coffee. And before you know it, I mean, I do my emails, I've got the news on, I'm scrolling a little social media. Before you know it, sometimes 90 minutes has passed, and I'm still sitting in my bed. So I'm like, right, that's it. When I wake up, we're out of bed. So
You're getting out of bed.
I'm getting out of bed.
That's probably harder than people would. I mean, if that's your routine, it's probably going to be harder to break than people would probably imagine.
People are probably like, what a spoiled bastard life does this guy live? That the hardest thing he's got to do is get out of bed. Oh, dear. So we got a good show planned. We got a good year planned, 2024. We're going to continue to take this podcast to the next level. Now, before we get into everything, Anthony, didn't go your way, brother. There's a lot of people.
You drug me out of my hole. I've been hiding under a bridge like a troll.
Have you really?
I haven't talked to anybody.
No podcast, no interviews. You just stayed at home.
Mike, I'm not even answering text messages. I haven't even spoken to my manager.
Oh, I know. You didn't answer mine, you prick.
It is nothing. For anybody that's listening, if you've texted me or reached out and I haven't responded, it's not you. It's me. I'm just in a weird place, you know. And sometimes you just have to unplug, you know. And I really threw myself into just being with my family and you know, sometimes you have to sit back and I don't know, you got to reevaluate and just kind of see where you are. What do you want? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? You know, because I don't know. It was a pretty dark place there for a while.
Well, it's understandable because obviously you put a lot of time, effort, you put a lot into not only preparing for a fight, but as fighters, we make it our identity. It kind of defines who we are to a certain degree. I mean, of course, family, wife, children, that comes first. Outside of that, we're fighters, you know, and that becomes who you are. And it almost like your success in life and how you are viewed at by these, I don't know, the fans that are very hot and cold, you know, they're very fickle, you know what I mean? They're on the bandwagon, then they're off the bandwagon, and it affects you. And even though we're supposed to be these big, tough guys, of course it fucking affects us, you know, and you fail miserably. And the reality is that it's just a sporting event and people fail all the time. But you, me, the person in the octagon, or to use that quote, the man in the arena, they're the ones that feel it the most. And they're the ones that have to go and sit there and be left with their own emotions. So I don't know. Do you want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So, I guess I'll start with just the fight, and then we'll go into the after. I knew that I was in an uphill battle. I knew that. I knew the position that I put myself in was not going to benefit me. I knew that I would kind of put myself behind the gun, and I was fine with that. I knew exactly what I was getting myself into, and I knew what I was up against. I had quite a bit of weight to cut. That was the bigger issue, which is initially they wanted me to fight that weekend that he was initially supposed to, but I couldn't make the weight in time. So they bumped it back a week, and it gave me a little more time. Now, don't get me wrong, all weight cuts are hard, but this one wasn't. I don't want to say it was significantly harder than the other ones because it was about the same, but it was a significantly more amount of weight. Like, it was a lot more weight. So I was like 236 when they called, and I had about 10 days to get to 205, which was whatever. I did it the right way. We got on weight, whatever. And then, we go into the fight, and I just, even in camp, and I'll just pull the curtain back. Not that I had a long camp, but I went to Denver, and Chris Curtis was there. And so I couldn't have asked for a better training partner other than Chris Curtis leading into that fight. He was a short, stocky southpaw that's got power in his hands. It was as close as you were going to get on short notice. So, and in camp, I just wasn't seeing the left hand. I wasn't seeing the straight left. I don't know that it's been a while since I've been in front of like a real high level southpaw. To be honest, there's not that many of them out there. So, especially with that style, with that body type. So even then I wasn't seeing it. And I don't know if I just haven't seen it in a while or if it's me. I don't know. But I think it's probably just a time thing. I think over the entirety of a training camp, over 5, 6, 7 weeks, seeing it every single day, I think I'd figure it out. But I wasn't seeing it. So we had to change the game plan in 10 days. So we went from having no fight to a game plan to 3 days into a 10-day preparation I have to change it because I'm not seeing it. I was getting fucking tattooed with it in practice. So we had to change it, and it was working. And then I went into the fight, and he was just way faster than I had anticipated. I knew he was going to be fast, but it was shocking how fast he is, how he goes from 0 to 100 so fast. So I struggled with the speed in the fight, and I didn't really have any other options. I wasn't seeing the left hand. He was faster than I was. And he was faster than I was prepared for. Some of that is I wasn't in fight shape. So I wasn't like, I was seeing things, but my body just wasn't reacting fast enough because I haven't been in a camp. So, and there's no excuse. That's my fault. I put myself in that position. I knew that was a possibility. So, but I couldn't react to it fast enough. So, I just had to walk him down and try to get him into a phone booth, and he had a great game plan. He changed a lot of things that he would typically do in a fight. He didn't overextend. He didn't let me draw him into a kind of a brawling style. He was super methodical and technical. I didn't have the cardio to push the wrestling as hard as I really wanted to, and try to level the playing field there a little bit, because the last thing you want to do is you don't want to be in front of Khalil Roundtree anyways, but the last place you want to be is in front of him tired. And so I had to conserve some energy. So I wasn't able to do a lot of stuff that I wanted to do, at least at that pace. And, he went to the uppercut like one time early in the fight, and he didn't go back to it until the third round. So I was getting away with kind of just shelling up and keeping my head tight and kind of like dealing with the stuff that was coming around. And I was kind of jamming up his straight punches. So I was taking them, but they weren't like real hard because I wasn't at the end of them. So I was kind of jamming his punches halfway. But him and his coaches made a great adjustment. He went uppercut, popped my head up, and then came over the top. And that was it. I didn't contest the stop, obviously. I was awake and aware the whole time, but there's a brain to body disconnect where I'm aware of what's happening, but I can't control what's going on the bottom half. So I've had a lot of memes and videos made about me with, the dancing and to be fair, like the salsa dancing one is really funny.
I haven't seen them. I've been out of the loop, so I'll do my research on the Anthony Smith memes. And you got to give credit sometimes because they get creative.
There was a couple of them that are funny, but Khalil couldn't have been more respectful. He couldn't have been a nicer guy. He couldn't have even saying, he thinks that fight maybe goes different. Had I had a full camp, and I thought he was really he could have fucking hammered me with that last shot. When I was trying to figure out which way was up and which way was down. By the time I looked up, the referee was already stepping in. He could have really put a good one on me, and he didn't. And I think that just goes to show the type of person that he is. I think it shows that, even through all of this, I think I earned his respect enough for him to show a little bit of restraint there. To be honest, I don't know that I would have done the same for him. And that is not that I don't respect him. It's just that's more my instincts is to follow people down. I think he has so much power. He knows if he lands a shot like that, he probably doesn't need to. But I think that was really cool of him, and I appreciate that. And maybe going forward, if I end up in that same situation, maybe I'll take a page out of Khalil's book and maybe show that same restraint. I hope that that's the case. And then afterwards, man, it was tough, bro. It was really tough. Like a loss is one thing, but one like that is really tough to take. Unfortunately, you've been there, so like you get it. It's embarrassing, and you just, I don't know, just in a dark place, and then you start asking yourself questions like, do I still belong here? Like, and all these questions you ask yourself are irrational. Like Khalil is a top 10 dude, it doesn't matter what his number in front of his name is, skill wise, and the talent that he has and that he possesses is top 5 or top 10 level in the world. So, then you ask yourself like, fuck, what am I doing here? Like, I don't want to be the guy that has people telling you that you need to leave, like I'd like to go out on my own terms, and I don't want to be forced out. And you just start those questions and those doubts come in, like, do I belong here? Why am I still doing this? Like, am I doing this because it's all I know? Because I don't need the money, and I don't need to take unnecessary damage. I don't need to get knocked out for no reason. Like, of course, all the money is nice and the paychecks are cool, and the I don't know, the adrenaline rush you get from being in there is awesome. But like, am I just doing this because I don't know anything else? Like, is all I know? It's all I've done my whole adult life. So you have to, like, I just kind of remove myself from everything and just cut away from all the outside input and just try to figure out, like, what do I really want? Why am I still doing this? Like, do I still want to fight because I like fighting, or is it just because it's familiar? And I think I came to the conclusion that I still like fighting, and I still want to do. There's some things that need to change, though, not just in my game and my style. And I think that I had a conversation with Glover that I think really helped a lot. Just as we age, you have to change some things. It's not that you have to quit fighting. It's not that you have to, like, oh, I'm not as good here. I'm not, I've not progressed here. But there's some things that you're already good at that you can continue to really shape your game around and just change it a little bit. I also think that I need to stop being so focused on like the end goal so much. It's just like, I just want to fight for the title. I want to fight for that. Maybe I just need to just take one at a time and just face whatever challenges in front of me and stop. Not that I'm looking past people or that I'm looking too far ahead, but like everything I have wrapped into this fighting thing is about the title. And maybe when I stop being so concerned about the title, maybe I can fully focus on what's in front of me, because it's always about the repercussions of that loss or the repercussions of that win. The first thing I thought about when I walked out of the Octagon was like, now how long is it going to take me to get to a title? And it wasn't even about the fight. It wasn't even about Khalil. It wasn't about what had just happened. It was about, I was still so focused on like, what does that do to my title hunt now? Like maybe I just need to put that away and stop fucking worrying about it so much and just take one at a time and just enjoy the right now and just live where I am and just be where my feet are instead of just trying to always be somewhere else. But I still want to fight. I'm not going anywhere. That's probably the worst loss I've ever taken. But I feel like if I had more time, or I was in better shape, or I had a whole training camp, or a lot of things are different. I think that whole thing looks different. I don't think I aged overnight. I think I just put myself in a tough spot, and it didn't. It's kind of like football. Like teams go for it on fourth down, and when they get it, they look like geniuses. But when they don't convert it, you look stupid, and everyone's gonna run you over, rake you over the coals about it. So I think it's one of those times where like I look dumb as shit now, but had I won, I would have looked like a genius. So, and I don't know, man. I think, and I'm rambling now, but I think some of this gave me a better perspective on kind of like where we are in the world. Like the absolute hate and vitriol that I got after that fight, like really, and again, like I've learned to deal with it.
That's just trolls. I've been trying to not interrupt. There's like first show of 2024. Bisping, don't interrupt Anthony's speech. I've been trying. I've been trying. No, listen. Well, I'm only interrupting to say it, but they're just trolls. People that send those messages, they don't matter. Any kind of half decent human being does not message a fighter that's a decent person that's trying to provide for their family and revel in them losing and being defeated and failing in their mission. You got to be a certain level of piece of shit to do that. Sure. So anyone that does that, just forget about that.
Well, and I've done a pretty good job, like the last couple of years of just dealing with it better. I just write it off and blow it off. But this one was especially, like there was especially a lot of hate, which is, whatever. Like that's the position we put ourselves in. But it almost like helped. It almost made me feel better. Like at the end of the day, all these people who are talking shit, like if you're one of these people that are online and you enjoy running to my social media and trashing me and whatever, like don't forget who I am and who you are. Like nobody knows who you are. I pulled myself out of the absolute fucking gutter with absolutely nothing. No high school diploma, criminal record, no friends, no one supporting me. I pulled myself from fucking nothing to the worldwide leader of sport. I sit up on ESPN in a fucking suit with no high school diploma talking about fighting. Like it almost made me feel better that like I have done so well with so little that people that are that level of a piece of shit are mad about it. And so like I've almost embraced it and I almost kind of like enjoy it. Like kind of just keep bringing it on because I worked so hard to get to where I am and sacrificed so much. And if that means I go out and I get knocked out in front of the whole world, like, so what? Like, it is what it is. Like, I still tried. I still had the balls to step out there with a guy as dangerous as him on short notice and didn't fight like a pussy. A lot of these people would have went in there and just tried to pick at him and run away and avoid him. Like, that's not who I am. I'm going to step into the fire every single time. And we're going to see what happens. It doesn't always work out. And that's just life. And if anybody can take anything from me or my career, that's what you're going to get out of me every single time. And that's how I attack life. I'm going to step into the fire every time. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But over the entirety of my life, I've continued to move forward and upwards. And I've always come back better from a loss. And it is what it is, man. And I got to let it go and have a short memory.
Well, I mean, you said a lot there. So I'm just trying to unpack a lot of what you said. First of all, I mean, I'm happy to hear that you still want to fight.
Really?
But if you want to fight, you've got to be a little bit more meticulous about it, if you don't mind me saying.
No, I agree. There's no more short notice fights, that's for sure.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I said it when we watched the fight on the live, and I didn't want to go into it because it's like I felt like I was betraying you or whatever. I hated it. I was on a walk. I think it was Thanksgiving Day when I got the message. And I found out you were fighting. I hated it. I fucking hated it. I didn't understand it because, and I think, I'm listening, you're a fighter, 100%. and you've got balls of steel. You know what I mean? You're like, fuck it, let's go. I can do this. And I think with all this, the trend lately of people stepping up on short notice, you know, Tom Aspinall just going out there and doing it, Volkanovski stepping up, all right, he lost. But it's been like a kind of a thing, hasn't it? People stepping up on short notice. I think maybe let's take short notice fights.
Mm-hmm.
You only do that when there's really something worth risking it for. Like I did it, but that was a title fight. You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't understand it because you gained nothing from that. And of course, the money, but you're on a contract. The money still would have been there. Sorry, I'm not trying to kick you while you're down.
No. You're right.
I'm really not. We're going to have an honest discussion. You know what I mean? And I didn't like that. And I think just going forward, you just got to be more professional with it. As you say, in between camps with the weight and stuff like that, leading up to fights and just making the correct choices. You know what I'm saying? Because I would love to see you fight on a full camp against Khalil. And we can't take away from Khalil's performance. He did tremendous.
Not at all.
But the purpose of a fight camp, you know, it's not only to get you in shape, it's to get you mentally ready as well, to get you dialed in, zoned in, locked in, fast, sharp, feeling hungry, knowing that you've done 8 weeks of sacrifice. You haven't been out with your buddies. You haven't been drinking. You haven't been doing the things you want to do because it all comes down to this moment. So all that compounds to the best version of yourself on fight night. And granted, that's what brings the pressure because it's just one night. And if you go out there, you fuck it up, you've done all that sacrifice for nothing. You know, but that is why you do that fight camp. Yeah, to get to peak at physical condition so you can push the pace for 3 rounds, 5 rounds, whatever it is. But mentally, you're locked in and your reflexes are on point, you know.
Right.
And if there isn't,
you're 100%.
And if there isn't that fucking goal there or the belt or the guarantee of a number one contender shot or whatever, then it doesn't really makes sense. And that was my thoughts. And I understand you're rolling the dice.
When I knew that going in, like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I just can't, like, I've always been a super mentally strong person. And I've been able to like just push through and grind and everyone has their down moments, but I've always been able to turn it around. And even when I feel like, I say this all the time, I've said this on here a bunch of times, I don't really care how you feel. Like if you feel like shit or you feel like you can't do it, or you can feel however you want, as long as your actions are positive. Like you can feel like you're awful or feel like shit, as long as you're moving forward and putting one foot in front of the other and moving towards your goal. It doesn't really matter how you feel, as long as you're making the right steps. So I've always been able to do that, but I almost feel like maybe I need to, you know, we've talked about the mental health thing and done a good job of managing my mental health, but I think maybe I need to add in some sports psychology stuff because my ego can't allow me to make the right decision. My pride, like who I am as a man, can't allow me to almost to like even have any small amount of self-preservation, if that makes sense.
So I want to ask you about that, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but
you're fine.
You're absolutely right. That's why fighters, we need protecting from ourselves. Mm-hmm. That's why you need a manager that will say, no, you're not taking that fight.
Everybody said no.
as fighters, we say, fuck it, yeah, let's go. I can do this. You know what I mean? And granted, some are a little more flippant in that regard than others. You know, but that's why you need a team around you that okay, ultimately you're in control. It's your career. You can sign whatever contract you want. But when there's like everyone around you, your team and your coaches all saying no, you'd have to be pretty pig-headed to still go ahead and do that.
Honestly, I should have called you and I'd
have told you fuck no straight away.
And just ran it by you instead of like my pride is such a my pride and my ego is such a positive thing when you're in the fight. Like I won't allow you to get over on me in this position, not because I think you're going to beat me there, but because my manhood won't allow it. But it also has put me in some of the worst positions possible. Like I'm sitting in right now. Like I wasn't man enough to say no. It wasn't that my coaches said this is a terrible fucking idea. My manager was like, the answer to short notice fights is always no. Always. The answer is always no, unless there's some caveat where it's a number one contender spot or a title, like you said, or whatever, or they're giving you $10 million, like whatever. Like, but if you break it down by pros and cons, the answer is always no. So my wife was like, why? There's no reason to. But I couldn't give a response as no. Like I'm too prideful to say, no, I don't want to do that. Or no, I can't do that. Or no, it's too short notice. Or no, I can't make the weight. Like I could have just said I was hurt. They wouldn't have known any different. Because, I tweaked my knee in practice a week ago. They would have never known.
There's nothing wrong with saying no, though. There's nothing wrong with saying, I'm locked in. I'm focused on trying to become a world champion. I'm not getting any younger, right? And I don't want to roll the dice. And they would have said, all right, fair enough.
See, and I don't know why. I'm like so afraid of like someone thinking I'm a pussy. I don't know why. Like, and I felt good about the fight. Like it is, yeah, this is winnable, but I don't know. And I did feel good going in. I really did, but I don't know what's wrong with me. Like it's the same thing in the Jon Jones fight. Everyone always asks about, were you considering, not getting up after the knee or taking the DQ? No, that never even entered my mind, because the question they asked me was, are you okay? I can't, even if I wasn't, I don't have it in me to say no. I can't bring myself to say those words. I can't say, no, I can't do it. Like I just can't say it out. Even if I'm thinking it, I can't say it out loud. So I never even got to a position to think about a DQ or John or the knee or it was illegal or what. I didn't even get to that point. It wasn't even consideration, because the first question was, are you okay to continue? Like, it wasn't about, like, there was nothing after that. Of course. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm good. Like, even if I wasn't, I couldn't say it. So that's the exact same situation when the UFC called. Like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I can do it. I can fight that guy. I'm no bitch. I'm not a pussy. What are you talking about? Hell yeah. Can you make the weight? Of course I can. I could have weighed 270. I would have said yeah. And I would have tried.
And that's the problem. And I don't mean with you. No, but I don't mean with you. I mean, it's with guys like you and I, and fighters or whatever. Your best strength is also your biggest weakness at the same time. You know what I mean? And I still find that. I mean, there's a balancing act. I mean, my personality and who I am and all the rest of it has helped me greatly in life. Certainly post-fight career, I'm doing very well. But it also hurts me at the same time, because I'm often emotionally immature. I'm quick to say something. I'll do great at a press conference. I'll give sound bites. I'll be controversial. But it also hurts me in day to day because I say the wrong shit. And
that hurts you at the gas station.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? And it's the same with being a fighter. You've got to be more business-like. You've got to be more strategic, and you've got to let other people make the decisions.
That's so funny you say that. Like, I've said this a bunch of times to just friends and people that are around me. Like, the traits that I possess that have made me successful and gotten me this far in life also make me absolutely difficult to live with and to be around and to love. I'm hard to love. I'm hard to I'm hard to be friends with. I'm hard to like it's real work. The people that are around me, that have been around me for a long time, are genuinely like gems of humans. Because I'm difficult and I'm just hard to be a friend with. And like, those things are starting to like bleed over. And now, instead of helping me in my career so much, I think they're hurting me a little bit. And I just need to gotta step back and just reevaluate. And I gotta bring other people in. I knew that you weren't gonna enjoy it, probably. Like, I knew that Mike was gonna think I'm an idiot. But like, instead of just like texting and say, hey, I took this fight, like, I need to call and say, hey,
no. You text me and you said, are you working the event on whatever it was? I said, no, I'm not. I'm flying to England. And then that was that. You didn't say what you were doing. And then it was Harrington goes, he sent me a link on Twitter saying Anthony's fighting. I was like, oh shit. What the F?
Well, and maybe that's what I got to do. I got to, maybe do a little bit of sports psychologist things and bring in other people that are, because listen, you're not afraid to tell me that's a fucking stupid choice, Anthony. What are you doing? That's stupid. Like, you have no problem doing that, which is why I didn't call you, probably.
Yeah, no, of course.
Then there's guys like my manager and my close friends, my wife, like they don't possess the ability to stand up to me in those situations. And not that I bully them or that I'm mean or whatever, but they're easy to convince. You're kind of overbearing a little bit. So I can say,
and they'll probably know that all the reasoning and talking and pleading and whatever will be absolutely pointless. And then the more they do that, it starts to create friction. And then bad tempers flare.
Oh, you don't think I can do it?
Yeah, no, exactly. And the next minute, everyone's arguing. It's like, well, that's what he wants to do. All right, well, let's support him. I get that. You know, it's a cruel sport, man. It's a cruel sport. It is, you know, and having that confidence to step in there and fight and dedicate yourself to it is also what makes you do things like that. You know, so you just got to know though, going forward, it's a tough sport. A lot of people have been saying to me, "Oh, you need to give him the Joe Rogan, Brendan Sharp talk." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He took a fight on short notice. He rolled the dice. He dared to do something. It didn't pay off, you know. But there's lessons to be learned, and that's always the way. And it's always so cliche to say, but when you make mistakes, and that was a mistake, if you don't mind me saying. You know, in hindsight, you didn't know it was a mistake because it was an educated guess, and you thought, I say educated guess, but you're like, I feel I can do this.
Right.
I believe in myself. Yeah. I believe I can do this, and nobody knew until you went out there and did it. And it turns out now, with hindsight, that was a mistake. So what do? How do you learn from that? How do you make sure you don't make those same mistakes? How do you make sure
conversations like this and
that you don't go into a fight unprepared? You know what I mean? Because these are the best fighters on planet Earth. Khalil Roundtree was stopping a lot of people in a row. Do you know what I mean? It's a very dangerous opponent. You have to respect everyone that steps in there and know that, hold on a minute, if I'm not on my A game, never mind top 10, top 15, entry-level UFC fighter. You know what I mean? These are serious people that need to be respected, and you need to respect yourself as well at the same time, and all the hard work that you've put in, and your family and your team around you that have been with you every step of the way. Do you know what I mean? That's the way you got to try and look at it and be super professional. I think, right, when I'm in camp, I'm locked in. You say to the UFC, I need 2-3 months, whatever it is, to prepare for this physically and mentally. And I really do feel the sports psychologist will really help, because I worked with one a little bit. He was called Brian Cain, and we didn't do too many sessions. But the mind controls everything. And I say that all the time, but it's the most important tool that you have. And for me, kind of my sports psychologist was Jason Perillo. He really helped me get my emotions in check and all the rest of it. But you know, it's got to be meticulous moving forward. Otherwise, you're doing a disservice to all the people around you. But more importantly, yourself. Because we all still believe in you. I know you have the ability, Anthony. But if you're going to half-ass it, then what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point if I'm not going to commit to,
you know,
making the right decision? It's not, anytime I'm in camp, I bust my ass and I show up ready. But like, if I'm not going to make the other right decisions, then I'm wasting my time. And that's, I don't know. It even feels different before, like even in the Span fight before that. Like, I don't know. I just feel different right before the fight. I don't know. Did that change for you as you got older?
In what sense? What do you mean? Like less?
Man, when I was younger,
fearful of the moment.
No, it's almost more. Like when I was younger, I could not give a fuck less. I couldn't have possibly cared less about what was going to happen in there. I was just hype, and I was angry, and I was ready to go. And now I like find myself struggling with my emotions a little bit before I walk out. Like, I don't know how I feel. Like, am I supposed to be hyped up? Am I supposed to be calm? Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know.
That's probably a mixture of things, because you're getting older, you're maturing, you're around the fight game more. I mean, you've had a lot of fights, you know, so you're used to that environment. When you first start, I always tell fighters.
I think we're at the fights a lot too, and I think that throws it off. Like, everything at the apex is so familiar because we're there so much. So you don't have those butterflies when you're walking in. Because like I see all my friends, I'm like dabbing up the security guys, and like, I feel like I'm home. So I don't have this unfamiliar feeling going on when I'm in there. And it's even the same on the road. Like everything, I think I'm just at so many fights that I'm just so familiar and so comfortable there. Then I get ready to fight, and I don't know how I'm supposed to feel, because I do feel very, very comfortable, but I know that I'm supposed to be like a little bit nervous or like hyped up, but I'm not. So then I try to like recreate it or try to force it. And I don't know. That's where like I think the sports psychologist will come in and just help me figure out like, how do we manage all these feelings and thoughts, you know?
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, it took a lot of bravery to come out and say all that, Anthony, and I respect you for it. I do, man. And listen, it's a natural process. You bury your head in the sand, you go away, you don't respond and all the rest of it. But eventually, you come crawling back out and you say, all right, it is what it is, because we're embarrassed. First and foremost, let's be honest, as fighters, as men, right? Battle, combat is something historically that's what men do, or alpha males do, and you go out there and you talk a good game and you fail. It's embarrassing. I've been there. Many people have been there, but for what it's worth, all right, there hasn't been a few fights for a few weeks and I'm losing my mind. I'm having to watch regular sports. I don't understand the rules, but it's almost every week. There's boxing and all the rest, and people, they do. It happens all the time. And in the wash of traffic and news and all the rest of it, people have forgotten about it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
It's you. You're all that matters. And for you, do you want to do it? Does your family want you to do it? Do you need to do it? If all those answers are yes and you want to do it, then fucking do it. If the answers are no, then don't. And you just got to remember this. I mean, because this sounds really bad. Well, not bad to say, but sometimes you got to take stock and look around at your life and think, shit, look how good I've got this. I mean, you said before, no high school diploma. You're standing on there in ESPN in a suit and you're a bloody good analyst, one of the best up there. And I kind of did the same thing, because life gets you down, right? And sometimes, like I've got a great life. I can't complain. But sometimes I feel sorry for myself. Sometimes I bloody still feel like the victim of things or whatever. And I remember, because I was just in England and we drove down to Heathrow Airport from Clitheroe. It's a long old drive, about 4.5 hours. Doesn't sound long by California or American standards, but in England, that's a long drive, especially when you're going on a long old flight. So we're driving down, we set off at midnight. We got to the airport about 4:30 in the morning, and we stopped at a service station on the freeway, on the motorway. And we walked in, I was starving. And all that was open was a McDonald's. There was the only thing there. And I don't eat McDonald's. I haven't had a McDonald's in ages. I went to Rebecca. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to get a cheeky McDonald's. She's like, oh, don't do it. I'm like, babe, I'm starving. We all ended up getting one. Anyway, point of the story is, it's 3:00 in the morning. We're in some shitty little service station in the middle of nowhere. And there's this Pakistani guy. He's working there behind the counter, right? It's dead. We were the only people there. He's got a smile on his face. Right, it's 3:00 in the morning. He was older than me. He's serving me McDonald's, and his attitude and his positivity, and I, and I was like, Happy New Year, and I was trying to talk to him all the rest. And I walked out. I says, look at that. This guy. Let's be honest. Does he want to be working in a McDonald's service station at 3:00 in the morning where there's no customers? Do you know what I mean? I'm sorry to anyone that does that. I'm not trying to sound insulting, but when you're a kid, you don't think that's where your life's going to be. But he still had a smile on his face. He was still pleasant to deal with. And it made me really take stock of myself and think, shit, look how lucky I am. Do you know what I mean? So you just got to listen. Bad shit happens. And in the grand scheme of things, it's not even that bad. And
that was the last thing that I was going to, before I get off my soapbox. I know that, again, all these it's going to sound like I've been sitting around, people are going to love that I've been sitting around feeling sorry for myself with my head in the sand. But like, I haven't been. I've been really like, just in terms of like MMA and like being visible and, in the public and social media and all that stuff, I've been kind of hiding out. But I was, this would have been 3 days ago. I was standing in Winter Park, Colorado at the very top of the mountain at 14,000 feet skiing with my entire family. And
I'm nice.
I'm not trying to brag. I don't want it to come off like I'm bragging, but I'm just trying to give myself from some perspective, kind of like your McDonald's story. Like, there was a guy that had recognized me, and I was skiing with a friend of mine, and my family's there, and like I had my entire family in this huge trip to Colorado forever. And this guy recognized me. He's like, man, I feel so bad for you about your last fight. And like, we're like just getting off the ski lift at a, like in front of a restaurant in skis. A restaurant you could only ski to, and like that guy's feeling bad for me. Like I'm literally on top of the world right now in the most beautiful place I've ever been. Like it is so arrogant of me to let him feel bad for me. Like I'm doing fine. Life is good. I'm in a great place overall. My kids are healthy. My wife loves me most of the time. She's nice to me a lot of the time. Yeah, she's nice to me a lot of the time. I'm very fortunate in all parts of my life. Like I had one bad night. It fucking happens in this game. It is what it is. We move forward. We move on. But I'm not going to allow myself to feel sorry for myself.
Harness the good energy, block the bad. That's what you got to do. And block the shots and block the uppercuts.
Right. Yeah. You watch out for them uppercuts. Hey, I did a pretty good job checking kicks, though. I did a pretty good job checking
kicks. You did. I expected you to throw more leg kicks. So look, listen, right. We look forward to the comeback. Okay. Right. Don't call it a comeback. You never went anywhere. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Just learn from this and we get better.
100%.
Well done. Well said, Anthony.
Therapy session over.
Dr. Bisping, I'm always here. My door is always open and very competitive rates. All right, today's episode is sponsored by Shopify, which is something that you need to use, need to take advantage of, need to get involved with if you're an entrepreneur, if you have a business, or you've got an idea for a business. If you've got an idea right now, action it, take it off the ground, get it online and do it quick, easy and conveniently. Oh, by the way, do it cheaply as well. Whatever you are selling, you got to be online. You got to sell to the entire world, and Shopify covers everything. It also covers every single channel, from an in-person POS system to an all-in-one e-commerce platform. It even lets you sell on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. They've got 24/7 customer service help. They've got an extensive library course. Shopify is there to support your success every single step of the way. By the way, it lets you instantly accept every single major payment method as well. So right now, get serious about selling and try Shopify today. Take your business to the next level. Go to Shopify today. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/believe, all lowercase. One more time, shopify.com/believe to take your business to the next level. Shopify.com/believe for a trial period of $1 per month. Right, let me see. There's a lot happened in the world of MMA, though. Should we quickly? Harrington, Brian, are we there? Are we here?
Hello,
my guys.
Sorry, I was late. New Year's.
Also, thank you, Harrington. Thank you, Harrington, for the vodka and ginger beer and contributing to the current bender that I'm on.
Yeah. Harrington and Brian, I got to say thank you as well, because we got back from England and there's a big old box there. And I'm like, what's this? Do you know what I mean? Actually cut myself by opening the box because it was very well packaged. But yeah, vodka, wine for Rebecca, tonic mixers. I'm like, this guy's done his homework. Thank you very much. Yeah, and now I feel like an asshole because I never sent you guys anything.
Dude, you sent me the pack and play. My daughter sleeps in every night. So you've done plenty for my family, Michael Bisping. I had limes in there initially, but then you told me you were going to be in England for a week. So I took them out.
Yeah. No. Well, thank you. And you actually saved the day, Rebecca said, because as I said, we had a little drink last night. Nothing much, but we haven't been to the store. Rebecca hasn't been to Ralph's or anything. And she's like, Harrington saves the day. There's a bottle of wine and there's vodka. So I'm like, let's go. And Brian, of course, it was from you as well. So thank you. Thank you. Happy New Year to everybody. We didn't talk about UFC 296. Now, we won't get too in-depth on it because it happened a while ago, and I'm sure people are sick of watching other podcasts because we took a little break. By the way, we did take a break. And I think it was needed for me mentally as well, because you're doing it all the time. You're on the grind, you're on the go, doing the YouTube, doing the podcast. I got to England, I had all my stuff, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to decompress as well. So anyway, Colby Covington, Leon Edwards, I'm sure you watched, Anthony.
I did.
And this is the problem right now, because this is probably why people talk shit, because we are analysts and we talk about the sport. And when you go out there, particularly now that you still compete, you give a take on a fighter and then they throw it back in your face. Well, look at your fight. Well, that's just the game that we played. And
but no one tells football commentators that, oh, well, why don't you go throw the ball better? No, exactly. Just because I can't do what they do doesn't mean I can't talk about it.
Yeah. You can be a backseat driver or what do they call it? A Monday morning quarterback.
Right.
All day long. Colby Covington, Leon Edwards. Well done to Leon, of course. He becomes the first and the only Brit to defend a world championship 2 times. So fuck you, Leon. Kidding, of course. Wasn't the most exciting fight. I thought it was a clear-cut victory for Leon Edwards.
Yeah. Colby
didn't even show up until that round, 3 or 4, until he actually started trying to fight. What did you think?
I haven't ever given a whole lot of consideration to ring rust in the past. But we've never seen Colby fight like that. His pace was slow. His output was bad. He just didn't show up in the first part of the fight. And maybe that could be, again, I want to give Leon his credit. Maybe that's something that he's seen while he was in there. Maybe Leon was giving him a look that he didn't like. Maybe it was, it could have been a multitude of different things. But the facts are the same. Colby didn't fight at all in the first few rounds. So you can't win a fight if you throw away the first 3. Or lose the first 3 so clearly. You can't, and Colby's not a finisher. You can't lose 3 rounds at the beginning of the fight and expect to win. Like you don't have the ability to finish late.
I remember thinking, because I did Tales from the Octagon, and a big thank you to everyone that came. London was great. Manchester was absolutely incredible. What a night that was. Oh my God, the crowd was wild. It was awesome. So thank you all for being there. What an incredible night. Finished. We did the meet and greet, and then we were supposed to go off and have like dinner somewhere and celebrate, a successful night. And I was just done. And I called Rebecca because she stuck around. The meet and greet went on for about 2.5 hours. It took a long time. And Tom Aspinall was funny because we were there and we were doing the meet and greet, and it got to like 2:00 in the morning. And Tom Aspinall just kept going, I'm starving. And then Tom, because he's the nicest guy, you know what I mean? He's the nicest guy. And then he just said it was to himself under his breath. He goes, if I don't eat something in a minute, I'm going to hit someone. That's how hungry he was. Do you know what I mean? He didn't actually mean he was going to punch someone. I just started laughing my head off because I heard it. I went back I called Rebecca. I said, what do we do? We're supposed to go to a restaurant. She goes, I've ordered room service. I'm like, great. Bollocks to it. And then Daz, who was with Daz Morris, thank you. He's like, Mike, don't feel under pressure. He said, I'm tired as well. So I went back. We ordered room service. I sat there stuffing fries and a club sandwich down my throat at 2:00 in the morning. The fight started. Everyone went to sleep and I watched the fight. And I'm led there and I was thinking, just to go back to what we were talking about, because Colby wasn't shooting. Now, of course, that's his path to victory. But sometimes, and you'll know this, when you're there and you're in front of an opponent like Leon, who's fast, who's long, who's moving a certain way, who isn't presenting himself as a target, who's just doing little tiny subtle things, you don't feel that everything's perfect to shoot. You think, if I shoot now, he's going to knee, he's going to uppercut. He's not, he's not where I wanted him to be in my mind, how I prepared for this fight. He's not conforming with the game plan that I had in my mind. So yes, it wasn't Colby attempting, but some of that's you got to give credit to Leon for the way that he was moving and maybe just slight little tiny little things that was putting doubt in the mind of Colby Covington.
Yeah, there was something he was seeing that was not making him feel good. That's for it. And again, I did bring it up as ring rust, but that could be he just hasn't been in there to be comfortable. So like on top of him not being in there for a while, you got just a little bit rusty, and the timing and the speed is different when you fight. It's different. You can't replicate fight speed and stuff in practice. So it'll take you a little bit to kind of get your bearings. But I do think that Leon was showing him something that he didn't like. And Leon does a good job. He's never static, ever. Even if he's flashing, you see him flashing the uppercut or he's checking the knee. He did it right before he kicked Kamaru, even he kept going to the body, going to the leg, going to the leg, going to the leg, and then he'll just kind of turn that hip down or turn that knee down, and Kamaru's reacting to it. Like he does that a lot. He constantly is pulling reactions out of people, and I think that Colby just really struggled with that.
And also, like maybe, I mean, we don't know mentally what was going on in Colby's mind. Perhaps it's something, and this happens, and you'll know what I'm talking about. You go to take someone down, you get in a little bit, you clinch, and they throw you off. They defend it so easily that you're shocked. You think, shit, he was strong. He felt aggressive. He felt powerful, and that diminishes your own confidence. And again, that's credit to Leon. I'm not, it really is. So listen, wasn't exactly a barn burner of a fight, but it was a solid defense. He got the job done. Leon Edwards is still the champ. I don't want to shit on Colby Covington, but there were some pretty nasty things said leading up to that. And he was pretty nasty on the microphone afterwards as well. He said, yeah, you're all booing. You're all just a bunch of broke bitches. I think that's what he said on the microphone. Mm-hmm. That is not his way to endear himself to the fan base. Donald Trump. And I'm not sure.
It's a quick turn.
Do you think he's just do you think he's just in too deep to his character and he just thinks he has to double down to get any heat back?
I don't know. I don't know, because generally at times with fighters, you have the trash talk, you have all of that bravado, you have the wild things that you say leading up to it. And we've seen this throughout the history of combat sports. When it's all said and done, when you finish throwing down, win or lose, you generally, there's an embrace, there's a respect, and people are booing, but you've just got to take that. Calling everybody broke bitches because they're not in the position that you are is not going to help him. And I know there's been a massive PR backlash, and then of course he brought up Leon's father. I like Colby. I've had a couple of long conversations with him, and I thought he was fantastic. He came on my YouTube channel. We did a long chat there, and I've had personal interactions, but he didn't handle that well. Bringing up Leon's dead father, I mean, that was kind of a low blow. I mean, there's just certain things you don't talk about.
Well, Sean Strickland just recently came out and said that, there's he was on Theo's podcast, I think.
He's talking about Drickus.
Yeah, and he said there's some lines you just don't cross. I think some of those lines are gray and people jump back and forth a little bit, but there's a couple that are pretty hard and fast. There it is right there. There's the quote. Sean said there's some things that are off limits. You don't really talk about a man's wife. You don't talk about a man's kids. And you don't talk about a kid being abused. These things are all off limits. Once he crossed that, I tried to fucking ignore it. I was boiling, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes on and talks about it. But, I think those lines are ones you don't cross. And you know what it reminded me of? You remember when Conor broke his leg and he was sitting there on his ass in the Octagon screaming up at Dustin.
Your wife's in my DMs.
Your wife's in my DMs. Like, it was almost like he had run out of everything else and he couldn't. Conor's always been very, very funny, very quick-witted, very clever. And almost kind of tongue in cheek, a little bit like Chael, like very tongue in cheek, very funny, very quick with it. But when Conor went that route, you could just tell he was kind of just defeated and deflated and just lashed out with just fire. And that's kind of what I felt like with Colby. He was like uncomfortable. He felt like he was losing those interactions, and it just he just spit fire because he was out of everything else.
So with Conor there, I think what happened there was that obviously, all right, he lost the fight. He's got a broken leg. He can't even stand and give the interview with Rogan. Right. Rogan's got to come down to his level and do it on the ground. You're embarrassed, as we've discussed at length. His pride is fucking hurt. He's Conor McGregor. He's the big star. And he's like, how can I hurt this guy the fucking most? Right. What is the fucking nastiest shit that I can come out with right now to embarrass him and try and make him feel bad in that moment? Mm-hmm. And there's nothing worse than saying, hey, your wife has been in my DMs, bro. You know what I'm saying? That was just like the adrenaline and the frustration and the anger all coming out, and that boom, there it is, right there. Mm-hmm. And again, that's just human emotion. Yeah, and you're not. When people come out with shit like that, we're not in control of ourselves. I've said things that I definitely, and I still do to this day, and that's why I'm trying to work on it. I don't mean. I do not mean when you're angry like that, the shit that comes out of your mouth. You're not in control of it. It's almost like another person. Now, granted, that doesn't get you off in court, or if you get sued or slandered or you get fired or whatever, it's like, well, you said it. You've got to be man enough to own it. But it's like for some people, and definitely I'm one of them, sometimes I'm better on it these days. But when you see red, when you're in that red zone, fucking everything's on the table. Not everything's on the table. Everything's on the table, and stuff that doesn't even exist is on the table. I'm going to say all kinds of shit that I don't even believe, but I'm going to say
just making shit up.
Yeah, oh God, I was going to say a story there, but I'm not going to go into it. I'm just not, because it's too long and people don't know the guy. But yeah, exactly. But it's funny, talking that you bring up Sean Strickland and Drickus. Obviously, they had that little throwdown at 296. What do you think about this, though? Because Sean, he got emotional on Theo Von's podcast, and of course he did, because Sean plays this character. I don't mean plays this character. This is the character that he puts forward. But of course, he has his emotions and he has his deep thoughts and maybe dark thoughts, of course. And he's very open with them. He came on the podcast a while ago with Harrington before you run and threatening to kill Harrington and all the rest of it. And, in a very, very jovial way, as only Sean Strickland can do. But when you're talking about childhood abuse, of course, it's going to trigger emotions. And of course, you're going to get emotional, and there's no shame in that. But speaking of Khalil Roundtree, you know where I'm going with this. Remember when Khalil got emotional at a press conference and Sean came out and was calling him a beta male and all this kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So he's opened himself to a little bit of criticism. I don't think there's anything wrong with showing emotion. I think people will respect him more for that, but this is just a fight game. People are going to talk shit back in response.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and even in that quote, like, he said, you don't talk about people's wives. You're like, wait a minute, Sean. I like you a lot, but you're the one that has been lighting this fire about Ian Gary's wife for like,
oh God.
So like, you can't, like it doesn't really work. But I actually enjoyed. That doesn't
work. Because you don't talk about people's wives. You don't. Like Jorge Rivera did that to me, and that was the one time when it was all said and done, the fight wasn't over. I was like, you can still kiss my ass. Go home, you loser. Right? Because
I would never make it to a fight. I would never make it to a fight.
No, that's what I said. I said this here. If I see him on the street, I'm going to beat the shit out of him. I have not come here for a mixed martial arts contest. I've come to beat him to piss. So yeah,
I thought it was nice seeing Sean. I've always thought, I hope Sean doesn't see this and get upset, but as a person who maybe not in exact scenarios, but in very similar, I don't know how I'm trying to say this. Like, he had a different situation with his dad growing up, but I think the level of severity that I have with mine is very similar, like different scenarios, but very, just as damaging, I think. So I've always looked at Sean like, I know why you are the way you are, just on a couple of things that he said in the past and the way that he reacts to some things. Like, I understand Sean. That's why I think we've always had like a very, like, I think we understand each other better than maybe most. And
are you talking about me and you?
No, me and Sean.
Jesus Christ. I thought we were having a real connection there, Anthony.
Well, maybe, but like, I just had a very tumultuous, damaging relationship with my father as well. So I've just understood him. So, and I know people like Sean, and they're in very similar positions, at least as far as the trauma they went through. So I understand him, but I was happy to see him kind of just let a little bit of that out on Theo's podcast, because I think now maybe other people will understand him. Like, he is the way he is because he had to create that to protect himself. Like
that's a good way of putting it. Sorry, he's had
to create whatever he is today. I believe, and I'm not going to speak for him or anything like that, and maybe I'm totally wrong, but I believe that Sean is the way he is because he's had to create that person to protect himself when he was younger, and it just grew into a man. And fortunately, he found a place to let it out, and he found a place where he's accepted for that. He's made a living. He's become a world champion. He's a rich man now. Like, he got very fortunate, because there's a lot of guys like Sean in prison that didn't end up in the situations that we're all in right now. So I'm happy he let it out, because I hope that other people can see like, oh, wow, that guy's in a lot of pain and he's had to create this person to protect himself. And like, credit to Theo for handling it really well too. And just being like, let him do his thing. Sometimes you got to get it out, and then you just move on. And so I hope he doesn't catch too much shit about it, but I'm glad he let it out a little bit.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say it's a defense mechanism. You know, you basically said exactly that, but in a different way.
You have to survive. He had to find a way to survive.
But that's what we all do. And I think, and this is probably a key moment for you where you can definitely relate, given current recent circumstances. You know, fighters like that, given, you know, most fighters, you know, I'm not saying they're all as bad as the situation that Sean Strickland went through, but look at Mike Tyson. You know, those tough backgrounds and those hardships and the adversity. You know, I grew up around a fair bit of violence and all the rest of it, and a lot, and that it creates this person. You know, and as a defense mechanism, you become a different type of person. And you shield everything off, and you become the tough guy, and you put on this armor that nothing affects you. And I think a lot of fighters deep down are very insecure. You know, I'm an insecure person, but I shield that with being overly confident. Like nothing bothers me. Everything fucking bothers me. My wife knows that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm very insecure, you know, and maybe some people can see that, but a lot of the brashness comes to shield that, because of shit that happened probably when you were a child or what you've been through. Now, my life's great, so I'm not talking about me, but I think a lot of fighters, that's why. That becomes who they are. It becomes their identity. Then they are rewarded because they start to get acclaim. They start to get popularity. As you said, with Shawn, he's become champion of the world. So you then, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You put on another coat of paint, another suit of armor, and then you accentuate that even further. And before you know it, you're this fucking madman running around getting into fights with Dricus du Plessis, because that's who the fuck
with $1 million
are.
in the bank.
But deep down inside here, you want to cry like a little boy.
I had someone tell me one time, and this was one of the smartest things I've ever heard anybody say. When you're a kid and you're growing up, that's like when everything is implanted in your identity of like who you are. Like, people are either doing one of two things. They're either thriving or they're surviving. And that never changes, no matter what happens to you, and no matter how successful you are in life, in your upbringing, in your childhood. If you are a survivor, if you're put into that surviving situation where you just have to do whatever you have to do to make it and survive and get on to the rest of your life, or get on to the next day in some cases, that's ingrained in you. So if Shawn was surviving and just trying to create whatever he had to change in his mental and in his body to just make it, he still feels like that today. Now that he's made it, and now that he's got money in the bank and a world title, and he still feels like he's just trying to survive and just trying to make it. That's probably why he is the way he is. It's why I am the way that I am, where I never feel like it's enough, because I've spent my entire life in that surviving mindset that even when you don't have to just survive anymore, you can't get out of it. But people that thrive and have a great upbringing, it's why I've tried to be such a good parent. I want my kids to always be in that thriving mindset where everything is moving forward and going well. And then you just continue to thrive until you're a successful human being in a successful part of civilization. And then you go on, and hopefully you pass that on to your kids. But you don't want to continue to pass on that surviving mindset, because you never really create a truly happy person.
Well, and the thing is as well is that I think a lot of fighters, and I'm speaking from my experiences, and I'm assuming probably Sean Strickland as well, you know, you kind of go living imposter syndrome. You know what I mean? Because you're like, this isn't who I am.
100%.
I'm not this famous. I'm not supposed to be famous. I'm not supposed to be popular. I'm not supposed to have my face on posters. I went to fucking prison when I was younger. Do you know what I mean? And if it, as you said before, if it wasn't for the UFC, I was definitely going down a very, very dark path. Thankfully to Rebecca, that I managed to turn things around. But I think a lot of fighters, they are, and they're still living that imposter syndrome deep down inside themselves if they're very honest about it. And they're like, shit, we've turned this around. We're doing great, but fuck, you know, deep down, I'm still just a piece of shit. I'm
just afraid. I'm afraid of losing it. And if you look at other athletes,
sometimes I don't like going back to my hometown sometimes, because I'm constantly reminded of the version of myself that I used to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's nice to be out here in California because I'm the new, everyone just knows me for the new version. I was a little shit when I was younger. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
that's why I don't like going to my hometown all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Familiar faces, familiar places. You're like, oh, I could fuck my life up in a week here.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Very, very easy.
You know, if you look at other athletes and other sports too, you can tell the difference between us and them. Like just, and I'm speaking to like your imposter syndrome thing. And I think people probably have this, not just in sports, but just in life in general, like at regular jobs. But like, whenever you're around football players or basketball players or just really
golfers, tennis players,
high level athletes, they're like, this isn't anything crazy to them because throughout their entire life,
they've kind of been that from an early age.
They've been special. So they've been thriving through their entire childhood. So like these people, these football players, these basketball players, like they've been great their whole life. They've been moved on along this path. They're exactly where they're supposed to be. It's not that big of a shock for a lot of them when they end up in the NBA or the NFL because they knew when they were in middle school.
Well, they were 7 foot tall at middle school.
Right. That's where they were going to be. Like
his name was LeBron. You're going to be in the NBA, son. You know?
Like they're preparing for the NBA in middle school. We're just trying to fucking make it to the next day.
100%. And as you said, these golfers, these tennis players or whatever, most of those sports, you show a talent and then you are groomed. The school takes an interest, your parents take an interest, and everything is just, preparing you to become a professional and to be one of the best in the world at that. Mixed martial arts is a very different thing. Boxing's a very different thing as well, Yeah. So yeah. And that's why though, it is as real as it gets. And that's why that's why you get some wild shit at the press conferences because they haven't gone through all the PR training. They haven't been around these great schools. They haven't been a part of these programs where they go to fancy country clubs or the tennis courts or the swimming meets and all the rest of it. You've been around fucking maniacs. And then even when you get to the gym, you're around other maniacs and you're a set of fucking thieves all banded together in a gym. Practicing violence every day, and the shit that gets said in the gym, if you think that's mad at a press conference, you want to hear what gets said in the fucking gym. You know what I mean? Because it's times 10. It's way worse. You know what I mean? So thank God.
And then they throw us out. And then they throw us out into civilization in front of the world, put a camera in your face
with a microphone.
Start asking you crazy questions. And they're like, why would he talk like that? Are you serious?
Wow.
You know where I came from?
He needs canceling. That was why, like on Tales from the Octagon, like I talked about the nasty shit in the fight game, and I went through some stuff because I was talking about the Ian Gary stuff and all the backlash, etc., etc. And I said, but this is the fight game. This is what people do, And I went through some certain examples, and the creme de la creme, the piece de resistance was I played a clip of Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson, I think it was when he fought Lennox Lewis, right? A brawl escalated, and a reporter said to him, "You need to be in a straitjacket." And he goes off on one, and he's like, "Yeah, oh yeah, you want a real man? I will F you until you love me."
Love me.
Right.
And in the hard F word.
And the hard F, which we're not going to say because we're going to get cancelled beyond belief and thrown off YouTube, which is ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, so I went through and I finished with that one because, we're wild people at the end of the day. All right, today we're going to talk about Fitbod, which is the smart workout app that you have on your phone that will create custom dynamic exercise programs for you based on your goals, your experience, and your equipment. It gives you varied routines as well, so you avoid overtraining, and it does it cheaper. They also have an algorithm on there which uses data and analytics to scientifically build your next best workout so you can maximize results. You can also see your muscle usage, recovery, achievements, and workout streaks right there in the app. And you are in control because the workouts are designed just for you, so you're getting precisely what you need. By the way, access to Fitbod for 1 year will cost you less than one session with a personal trainer. You can get a full year of personalized workouts with Fitbod. Fit exercise into your schedule and learn how to do the workouts as well, because Fitbod, it works with any Android or iOS device. And by the way, the app's super easy to use because it has HD video tutorials with thousands of videos right there showing the exercises which you can do with the available equipment. So if you're just got a garage, you're in the park, you're at home, you're in a hotel room, it will show you a workout with what you have available, and it will teach you how to do it so you don't get injured. So sign up to Fitbod right now and get 25% off when you go to fitbod.me/believe. That is 25% off this. Start 2024 the right way, with a bang, with the workouts, which are cheap, which you can try for free. You can try it out for free when you go to fitbod.me/believe, and you'll get 25% off this subscription by going to fitbod.me/believe. All right, so you probably saw as well, Anthony, at the weekend. I mean, Conor McGregor hyped it. He said, I'm going to be making my fight announcement New Year's Day. Sure enough, he did that. I don't think anyone was surprised. I mean, this fight has been lined up for about 17 years. Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, International Fight Week, not in July. It will be on June 29th at 185.
Yeah, what was that laugh?
I know.
His laugh was weird.
I know. He's just trying to be a dick because he said, you'll do what you're told. And he is doing what he's told. No wonder it's 185 because Conor McGregor's arm, I only saw his arm, but it looked a little flabby-dabby.
Did it? I didn't really look
thought
that,
so.
I didn't look that close, to be honest with you.
I mean, it doesn't look as, I mean, it looks thick, but I'm not hating, but he looks a little soft there. Do you know what I mean?
He looks heavy. He looks heavy. Yeah.
Yeah. He's definitely bigger. Brendan Loughnane, who was at Tales from the Octagon. Thank you for that, Brendan.
I love that dude. I like that.
Yeah,
guy.
he's amazing. He's amazing. He said he's done a little training with him out in Dubai. He said, yeah, he's big. He's at least 200 pounds. So what do you think of that? Because, you know, I'm looking forward to the fight. McGregor's super exciting. He's certainly got plenty of time to get ready, right? And listen, I'm a bit soft right now. It's just been Christmas, so I'm not throwing any shade. 200 pounds, 185 pounds is not his weight class. Now, it will be a cool thing to say that he fought in 4 weight classes. I think Kenny Florian and Diego Sanchez are the only other ones. There might be another that did that. Now, he fought at 145, went up to 155, 185. That is not his optimal weight class. Now, granted, he's fighting another lightweight in Michael Chandler. The problem is, though, is that, as I say, it's not your optimal weight class. So they're going to be carrying more weight. And if you're Conor, and I'm not hating on Conor, and I'm really excited for the fight because he's the most exciting guy. He is, because of the energy and the presence and the hype and the performances. You know what I mean? Win or lose, and there's been losses recently. There's still big moments, and the comeback's going to be something special, right? It really is. But I think with all that extra weight, it's going to be an issue because not only making weight sucks, but making weight also insists on discipline because you have to. Like, if I was going to make 185 pounds, I had to do my road work. I had to follow a strict diet. I had to make sure I was getting my ass in the gym because I'm not going to make weight. And if you can be 185 pounds when he fights at 145 or 155, there's not that subconscious threat of missing weight, of not being successful, of having the big comeback, the greatest comebacks in the history of sports, be a failure, because having to make weight makes you disciplined. It makes you live that monk kind of lifestyle that fighters endure and go through, as what we talked about before with the full training camp with yourself. So what do you think? And then on top of that, he's not known for having the best cardio. But when you're carrying extra weight, whether it's muscle or fat, it's going to tie you down, it's going to slow you down, and it's going to definitely affect your endurance.
Well, it's going to, I mean, those things are going to affect both of them. I do get the vibe that Michael Chandler's a little more disciplined, though. In terms of
that's an easy vibe to catch.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice about it.
He's a monk 24/7.
24/7.
In a good way.
And he can carry, and he can be 185 pounds. You're right with the conditioning thing. Conor's never been known to be able to push it really, really hard, and not at the end of 5 rounds, he is tired. Michael Chandler fights at a really high pace. I think it would be a bigger deal if Conor was more of a wrestler. So I don't. It doesn't really benefit. It benefits Michael Chandler for it to be a 185 more than it does Conor, in my opinion.
Yeah, because Conor relies on fast, explosive timing, striking.
Right. And just carrying that extra weight, it's going to slow you down just a little bit.
Well, it's not going to slow him down a little bit. It's going to slow him down significantly.
It's going to be noticeable.
It just is. It's going to be noticeable. You're not going to be as fast. You're not going to be as sharp. And you're not going to have to punish yourself every day to get down to that weight class, which therefore, again, impacts the body, but it impacts the mind.
And your footwork's not going to be the same either. He's going to be a little more plodding. And he's going to have to be because he's carrying, the extra weight that he's not used to carrying. So, it's a technique thing too. The techniques that he does and the way that he fights and the footwork that he fights with and the sliding in and sliding out, doing that 30 pounds heavier is different. He hasn't done it at fight speed in a competition 30 pounds heavier. He's never done that. It's going to be different, and it's going to look different, and it's going to feel different when he's in there, even if he convinces himself that it does it.
Well, he is going to convince himself because, of course, he is, because that's what we do, as we've talked about at great lengths today. We convince ourselves. All that said, I'm still very excited about it. It's going to be an incredible event. I can't wait to see him back. And Michael Chandler, I'm happy for him because he waited on the sidelines and people have been talking that he's sitting there like a good little boy. Well, listen, he's going to get a massive payday out of it. I'm assuming he's going to get a cut at the pay-per-view. Right? I'm sure that was agreed a long time ago, and that's why he's been waiting. And McGregor, for as inactive as he is, that's why there's such spectacles. If he was fighting every other month, you could miss that one. Well, he's coming back, and it's been a long time, and there's a big story. And is he going to be the greatest comeback? It's going to be at 185. It's after a season of The Ultimate Fighter. He was the double champ. He's got the country of Ireland behind him, and the whole world is invested in the story. So it's going to be an incredible event, and I cannot wait for it. As a man that has experienced this, though, Joe Rogan, I saw him talking, I forget who it was, about people that have broken their legs and saying they're never the same. And there's a question to ask you there as well. But how do you think he's going to be? I mean, his, I think, was a bit worse than yours, right?
Oh, yeah. It was definitely worse than mine.
Weidman, Anderson Silva, they all said they were never the same. What do you think? Do you think that will play any kind of impact on him?
Yeah.
Or have an impact?
Absolutely. What impact and how bad of an impact is going to have? I don't know. But he's different. And that's not, I have no evidence of that. I haven't seen anything that's shown that he's different, but he knows it. He can feel it. He moves different. It's not the same. And that's leg injuries, knee injuries are that's just how they are. Some are better than others. Sometimes you can get away with, you can do good rehab and the injury's not as bad. Sometimes with knee, like ligament stuff, you can get away with feeling pretty much 100%. Like, really, really wicked bone injuries, it's never the same. There's arthritis, there's a new bone growth, it looks different, it feels different. It's different. I don't move the same. Now, am I less than I was before? I don't know that I would say that now. I think I'm probably pretty close to the same level, but it's different. It changes the way I have to do some things for sure. And that's down to like little things like guard passing. It's a little bit different because I don't have the same mobility and feeling sometimes with my lower leg bone and ankle. And sometimes the kicking is a little bit different. Like instead of flexing your foot or pointing your toes, you got to flex it. And so, there's just some different things you're going to have to do. And his was way worse than mine. So all those things are much, they're a lot different for him.
I guess,
and Weidman will tell you. Weidman will say he's very honest that he's as healed as he's going to get, and it's nowhere close to 100%.
As I said, I guess we shall wait and see. And again, that's part of the mystery.
We may not notice it. You know what I mean? He just may have to make adjustments and do things a little bit different, and we may not notice it just seeing it, but he can feel it and he knows it.
So there hasn't been any UFC events since what? December 16th? Was that the last one? It was December 16th. What have you been doing with your free time? Brian and Harrington, jump on the show, guys. Let's have a conversation, the four of us, because the believers have missed you both also. What has everyone been doing with themselves? Because no podcast, no UFC, all right, it's been Christmas and New Year, but Brian, how have you been filling your time? You obviously missing Anthony and mine's face, but other than that,
absolutely. But I mean, it hasn't been too much different. I have other shows that I work on, and I was just doing some extra shit for those guys. So, just work. That's what I do.
Herringbone.
I had just extended family time. Like, it was baby's first Christmas, so it was like just on overdrive. Like, all the family had to stop by to see the baby at some point. So it was just a lot of appointments, seeing family and stuff like that. And we made it out to Philly for New Year's. Had a blast. So
well, yeah. It's funny that you mentioned babies, because we now have a baby living in our house, a newborn baby. Yeah, yeah.
Baby
so
is that?
Wait, what?
Yeah, no, it's not Rebecca.
You found a baby?
No. A girl that used to live with us is living with us again now, and she's got a newborn baby. So Rebecca's in a bloody element. She is in her element because she's playing mom and all the rest of it. And I'm now reverted back to a house with a crying baby and diapers and all of that good stuff and breast milk in the fridge. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, brother. You've gone back 20 years.
Careful when you have your coffee in the morning.
Yeah. Well, I've said there's a fridge in the garage. I'm like, put all that stuff in there, okay? Because I don't need that extra sweet stuff. Should we ask Harrington for a non-MMA story, Anthony? Do we dare?
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah.
I mean, I said to him, listen, you're going to have to start sending them to me via text so we can sign off on these. But just for shits and giggles, give us the number 2 about this Beverly Hills guy.
Okay, so...
and hopefully we have the video, because I saw it.
Yeah. It's rough wording for the headline here, but 90210 actor Ian Zerling, he took on 4 people in what the headline I read said a motorcycle gang in a road rage incident.
Oh, I've seen this.
Yeah.
Oh, they beat his ass.
I mean, he's holding his own.
Oh.
Brian, so basically he just continues, nice little foot slide attempt. Go right to the start, because now we know who we're watching. It's the guy in the grey stripy sweater. And then before you press play, who the hell, what's his name? Ian Zerling? Are you familiar with this guy, people?
Yeah, if you watched 90210 when you were a child, he was the blonde dude.
Right. No, I didn't watch it, and the 90s star, fair play to him, you know what I mean? But I'm not familiar with him. But I'll say, because I saw the TMZ headline on Twitter and it said attacked, assaulted, and all the rest of it. Now, we don't know what happened before, but if you look at the guy in the grey, he throws the first punch, in my opinion.
Yeah, because it happens right here.
Yeah, press play.
Like he's pulling the dude off of his bike.
Yeah, it looks like he started it.
Yeah, and then he hits him and then walks off. And then they're all like, hold on a minute, buddy. No.
On your little nerd bikes.
That's like a gang of midgets. And you shouldn't say that word, but sorry. Gang of midgets attacking you. You know what I mean? Jumping out of the cannon.
Fighting a bunch of dudes in helmets is tough.
Yeah, and this guy's about to swing it too. Look at him. He wipes it off first. You see that? You see him wipe the helmet off before he's going to swing it at someone's head? I got a buddy that drives these little tiny, I don't know what they're called, little Groms and little, I don't remember what the other kinds, but anyways, I got a buddy that rides those things. They do travel in packs too. They're a bunch of just a little nerdy gang members. Yeah.
What was that? I don't know. I was trying to think of a TV show. Was it Biker Mice from Mars or something? Have you seen that?
That was a TV show. I didn't even realize how silly these little bikes are.
Yeah, look at them. They're tiny.
Look at it.
I mean, it's not exactly. I mean, it's an embarrassing story, isn't it, for this guy? Because number one, he threw the first punch. Then he gets his ass kicked. Then he has to run off and say, "What were it? Hell's Angels?" No. And I believe, from what I read, they were all women on miniature bikes.
No,
they're all women.
That's what I heard. I don't know.
I hope so. Women. I hope so. Because that's even better.
I mean, bro, 2023, a 110-pound female could beat the Rock up.
So when we were in Colorado, this has nothing to do with anything that you said. 2023 reminded me of it. We went to this barbecue place when we were in Colorado, and it's a small little mountain town. So there's not a whole lot of like room there's a big group of us. So there was not a whole lot of room to like sit down. So everyone kind of just went and got different stuff. So me and my friend Shawn went to this barbecue place to get stuff for me, him, and his wife and my wife. And we're sitting there, we're standing at the bar waiting for our food to come. And some I don't know how to say this without sounding racist. A guy not from America.
Easy.
A guy not from America, like an
immigrant,
like an Asian guy who didn't speak very good English.
Undocumented, over the border, 10,000 a day, not getting checked.
It was an Asian guy that didn't speak great English. So he asked the bar. This is a small little mountain town. These are locals, and he asked the guy, like, "Hey, where's the bathroom?" Right, and so the guy points at the bathroom, like annoyed that he even asked. The bathrooms are right there.
There's a sign.
He goes
Can't
there.
read English, to be fair.
And he looks at the doors, and they both look the same. In Colorado, most of the bathrooms are like gender neutral. Like you can, it's either or, whatever. They're just bathrooms. And so he comes back and he goes, which bathroom do I go into? And he was like, either one of them. And he was like, well, they both look the same. He goes, just pick one. It's 2023. Who gives a shit?
Who said that, you buddy?
No, the guy that was working at the restaurant. He was super annoyed.
Just pick one. Who gives a shit? Well, I would if my daughter was in there and she was 3 years old, but whatever. Right. Don't want to get into all that stuff. 2024, a new year, a new calendar of fights. What are fights, in your opinion? And we'll throw this to the panel. Join us on the show, please, guys. I'll start the ball rolling. 2024, what fights, in our opinion, need to happen? I'm going to say this. Tom Aspinall, Jon Jones. And I'm not foregoing the threat of Stipe Miocic. But
see, I was going to go Jon Jones Stipe so that we can move Tom into whoever he has to fight. Because I would be fine with either.
Well, I want to see that fight, but I want to see the interim champion, the man that's got a belt around his waist, get to fight the actual champion. So I guess Tom versus whoever wins that one. Don't get me wrong. We're all excited for Jones versus Stipe, and it's going to happen, but they have to, whoever wins that cannot, if Stipe wins that fight, because I know he's planning on retiring and Jones has flirted with that, they can't retire. If they retire, that is going to be, I'm not going to say an act of cowardice, but it's not going to look good.
Yeah, it'd be a travesty for Tom, too, to not be able to get one of those guys.
Well, just real quickly on that, on Tales from the Octagon, I said, what are you going to do? Are you going to defend the interim belt? And he's like, no, I'm going to wait for Jon Jones or Stipe. And I said, Tom, with respect, what are you doing? So there's no one near your level. All right, there's some competition, don't get me wrong. But in my estimation, he's up here. There's Cyril Gahn. There's some interesting matchups, whatever. But you could just chip away, beating contenders or just lower level guys, collecting big money, pay-per-view points, and 2-3 title defenses. You cannot be denied. And then the story is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're making fucking money whilst you're in your prime. And he's like, no, I want to wait for Jones. And I was like, I think you're crazy, bro.
Yeah. Maybe.
Too.
Yes.
Give me a fight that has to happen in 2024.
I mean, it's so tough to follow that up. You're talking about you joining the heavyweight title. I wanted to see a couple of contenders matched up. Brendan Allen, number 8 in the middleweight division, versus Jared Cannonier. I think that's a super fun fight.
Can we all just agree that that's the most Harrington answer ever? Typically,
that's a great fight.
It's a great fight.
That's the most Harrington shit I've ever heard.
I'll say, is there any breaking news? And he'll say, well,
I have a really great idea for a co-main event at the Apex.
I'll say, yeah. I'll always say, is there any breaking news? And he'll say, oh yeah, this just in. And I can't think of them. Like 2 unranked flyweights that no one's ever heard of has just been announced. And I'm like, okay. No, I mean breaking news, bro. And there he is. Co-main event at the Apex. Brian, fight that should happen in 2024.
I don't know if it should happen, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, which is I think we're going to see Israel Adesanya and Pereira fight again at light heavyweight.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's
like I said, I don't know if it should happen, but I'm pretty sure it's going to.
I have another good one, but I'm not going to jump in.
I have another good one too.
Mr. Lionheart Smith has to go.
I want to see Leon Edwards, Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Yikes.
You're forgetting the name.
What name?
You're forgetting the name.
I can't remember the name.
Bilal Muhammad.
Listen, I mean, he deserves a title shot. Then get it or don't.
Begrudgingly. He's like,
Yeah.
okay.
No,
sure.
he does. But like, there's a reason they're not giving it to him yet. I don't know what that is. I hope he gets it. I hope he does.
I think he is. I think he is, right?
I hope. I hope.
He's got it.
I'm pretty sure Dana said pretty emphatically that Bilal's next.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think I saw that too, Brian.
He's done enough. I mean, I'm not hating on him, but he's not. So if he's not going to get it, then that's the fight I want to see. Stylistically, I like the Leon Shavkat fight.
I think same. And if judging by the first Leon Bilal fight, right, as short as it was, it's probably going to be the same. I think Bilal actually, I just saw on Instagram, he's off to Dagestan to prepare for that fight. So expect a dangerous Bilal. And Shavkat is probably a guy that everyone wants to see fight for a belt. I'll throw you another one. Just engage it, Islam Makhachev.
Yeah, definitely.
Got to happen. It's got to happen. Do you think with Islam? Because there was talk of Oliveira, right? But is that off the table now?
I think Oliveira was next. At least that's what Dana said initially, but I don't know now.
Did I see something somewhere on Instagram about Oliveira and Arman Sarukian, or am I out of my mind?
So they
That's
both
a great fight.
They both announced that they had their comeback date scheduled on the same day on Twitter within hours of each other, which led to people speculating that those two were going to fight.
I see. Okay. Well, Justin versus Islam, I think that's the one that needs to happen. No offense to Bronx Charles Oliveira. Harrington, I'm just going to give you free will. Throw a story at us. Let's see what he comes up with. Let's see.
I had one more. But
Brian got out of here quick.
Oh, okay. I know Brian loves to go.
I gotta pull it up, so I don't want to just be sitting here staring off to the side while you guys.
Harrington had one more. Go ahead.
I want to redeem myself.
No, hold on. No, hold on. Is it Dana Belbita versus I don't want to say anyone's name. I can't think of anyone.
Macy Barber, Molly McCann, obviously. No. Kamaru Usman. I want to see Usman fight Strickland again. I think he needs a win at 185, but it's right there for him.
Bo Nickel, Hamzat Chimaev. Boom.
Boom.
Yeah,
that's a good
one. That's a
Bo
really
Nickel's
good
got to
one.
get through Cody Brundage, though.
I'd actually pay for that fight.
You're going to pay for them all anyways.
Your boy Cody Brundage coming in hot. That should be an interesting matchup, actually.
Yeah,
Harrington, then, go on. We're filled enough. Give us a story.
Okay. I think this is the biggest one. Just dropped last night. Jorge Masvidal announced on Twitter that he is officially unretired.
Masvidal versus Colby Covington. Let's go. Rematch.
The rematch in court. How do we feel about this? Listen, I have a lot of respect for Masvidal. He's a real fighter. Certainly as the sport's got bigger and it attracts sometimes not the type of people that we were describing before. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but as the sport is widening, it's opening, it's presenting itself as an opportunity. You're getting people that look at this and go, right, I can be a martial artist, kind of like the Beverly Hills Ninja type guy. You know what I mean? What was his name? Not shitting on him, but you know what I mean? Not guys that are tough, right. with faces like ours. You know what I mean? What were we talking about? I just had a total brain fart. Masvidal, Jesus Christ. Masvidal comes from the bloody backyard brawls with Kimbo Slice. I mean, that dude's a real fighter and he's had an incredible career. And what a resurgence he had when he knocked out Darren Till and then became the BMF and the fastest knockout of all time. But I think he retired for a reason.
Yeah. I thought I really thought his reason was after he lost to Colby, he didn't really see a path to the title. And that's kind of how I always looked at it. But listen, man, he wasn't getting knocked out repeatedly. He hadn't taken a whole shit ton of losses back to back. He was in that Colby fight too. He had Colby hurt late. So I don't know if he wants to do it. I'm down for the experiment. Let's see it one time and maybe 100%. Make the evaluation after that.
I mean, listen, all right, he's 39 years old. I mean, look, listen, I'm not going to hate on the guy. And as you say, I'm just looking at it now. He lost 4 in a row. But that was 2 shots against Kamaru Usman. One of them,
Right.
which was on very, very short notice, remember, Fight Island. Then it was Colby Covington, excuse me. And then he lost to Gilbert Burns by decision.
Right.
So there's absolutely no shame in that. I think he's probably, I think he made a lot of money from what I understand.
Right.
So, I don't think it's necessarily motivated by that. I think fighters, when they retire, it's hard. For me, I talk about it all the time. That's why I love commentating so much, because I'm still involved with the sport. I still get that adrenaline. I still get that high. I love walking into the octagon and interviewing the fighters because, again, goes back to what we said about the ego of a fighter. You still got to be involved, still got to do something, And I've got that. Whereas Masvidal, he's doing his shows and all the rest of it, and I hope they're going really well for him. But you need that. You still want to be in the limelight. You still want to get that attention. You need that adrenaline buzz, And he probably still thinks, hold on a minute, it's been a little bit of time. What was it? How long since his last fight? All right, 8 months. He's like, I've still got this. I can still do this. He probably looks at some competition and thinks, hold on a minute, I can beat these guys.
Well, there's some fun fights out there for him too. I think there's I don't know that he's going to make a title run, but I think there's a couple fun, intriguing, exciting, competitive fights out there for him.
There's a big old payday too, waiting for a Nate Diaz rematch.
Yeah, there's that.
There's a Nate Diaz rematch. I mean, listen, he did pretty well again. I mean, he lost. I'm thinking about Nate Diaz there. Masvidal. Yeah, I mean, who would I match him up with? Maybe like a Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. That's a fight that's never happened.
No, that's a rematch.
Did they fight before? Oh, yeah, they did. He beat him by decision, right?
Yeah, I think that's a rematch. Yeah, there's a couple fun ones. And
I think that the appetite from the crowd will be there. I mean, people like Masvidal. People respect Masvidal.
Yeah.
UFC would have no problem with it. So expect Masvidal on a card sometime soon. So,
I think it was in Salt Lake City. I'd never really spent a whole lot of time around Masvidal. I've always had a lot of respect for him, just how he came up. And we ran into each other in Salt Lake City, and I had a real long conversation with him. He's a really enjoyable person to be around. He's actually really, you kind of see him pop up in these beefs, and he's got all this. He's real smooth when he's talking shit too, when he's beefing with somebody. He was really, really enjoyable to talk to. So I just find myself wanting good things to happen for that guy.
All right, this episode is sponsored by Chalk. That is CHOQ.com. Listen, Chalk, you know all about Chalk by now because they have the best natural testosterone boosters, but they've also got pre-workouts. Yes, they're taking over that world as well because pre-workouts are awesome, but when they're not filled with natural products, you feel weird, you feel tingly, you crash really, really badly. And that is why they have brought out Chad Mode, which is the best all-natural, clean pre-workout and the ultimate way to get pumped up naturally. It will give you the edge that you need before any activity, whether you're lifting weights, hiking, or just crushing it at work. Unlike 99% of the garbage-filled supplements on the market, Chad Mode, as I said, all natural, free of artificial flavors, no preservatives, sweeteners, or dyes. It's just organic lemon, cherry, and maple crystals, and no synthetic caffeine, just organic green bean extract. By the way, Chuck uses full disclosure labeling. You can see it all right there. There's no label fluffing, proprietary blends, underdosing, none of that stuff. So if you're looking for a super high potency, junk-free pre-workout, there is no better way to start your day than using Chad Mode. And along with Chad Mode, as always, check out the Male Vitality Stack and the Stack Ultra along with the Chalk Daily. So give it a shot. You won't be disappointed. And by the way, we're going to give you 35% off. Go to chalk.com, CHOQ.com. And when you're there, use the code Bisping for a huge 35% off your order. Chalk.com, CHOQ.com. Use the code Bisping, 35% off. So I'm just sending out a tweet here, BYM, because we've got to do this. We did it last year, and I forget who the winner was. I think it might have been Andrew Tate. And we're throwing this down last minute with no planning. But who is the 2023 dildo of the year?
Oh, man. Who's the 2023?
I'm tweeting
dildo of
right
the year
now. Dildo of the year.
Well, I would argue that Colby Covington is probably up for nomination this year, even recency bias, and that was not a smooth move.
No, that's
it wasn't a smooth move. Remember dildo of the year, the the criteria is just basically being annoying, being a dick, being fake, annoying everybody. Jake Paul's always in the running, but to be honest, he hasn't been as prevalent in our consciousness recently. Logan Paul, KSI, all those people, but they're easy choices. That's easy picking.
Yeah, I was gonna go Dylan Dennis, but he kind of he redeemed himself a little bit. I think even he looked like shit in his fight, but I think he hung tough and stayed in there and fought his ass off with what he had. So that kind of redeemed him a little bit in my eyes.
He's the namesake though, Dylan the Dildo. You know what I mean? That's where the awards came from. So we can't have him in there again. Who's the biggest dildo this year? That's a tough question. I wish I had an answer. We should have thought about this beforehand. Harrington's just
Harrington's got one. It's probably someone we've never heard of.
Come on, who is it?
All right, look, a guy who's teased us with fighting, selling us Wolf tickets, a guy who bought a major social media platform whose value has gone down 70%, a guy whose car company is getting recall. Oh, that was last year. It was like the tail end of last year. He got charged this year. I'm going to say Elon Musk. It's a pretty rough year. 2023 was not his best.
Whoa. Elon Musk is the purveyor and the man defending free speech.
Right. I thought you were going to go Zuckerberg.
Yeah, I was going to thought you were going to say Zuckerberg, but we were at his studios doing an episode, so don't do that.
Yeah.
I saw yesterday that Elon Musk's net worth apparently has gone down by 71% since.
Oh, man.
He's still the second or third richest man on the planet. It doesn't, percentages don't matter at that point. He's
it's just, fine. He's going to be okay. And with everywhere mandating electric cars, his sales are going to be just fine. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, Elon Musk is not on my dildo of the year.
He's not on mine either. I'm an Elon fan.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Elon Musk. Listen, of course he's going to talk about Mark Zuckerberg, and that was fun for a while it lasted. Zuck's not on it either. I kind of respect Zuckerberg for getting in there and doing the mixed martial arts. And even
tearing ACLs and shit.
Yeah, now he's
getting hurt like the rest of us.
Yeah, he's just bloody training again already. Although I do think he is probably he's AI. He's like the first Terminator, but he's just like the nice version.
And I think he'll actually fight.
Have you seen Ex Machina, that film?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the male version of that woman, of whatever she's called. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. Let's see if we've got any answers on here.
That's what I'm going to look now, too.
Hold on. The king, of course, Dylan Dennis, Jake Paul, Colby. Oh, God. Colby's the front runner so far.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Colby
definitely pulled some fucking people's asshole.
Yeah, he made people angry.
Joe Biden, people are saying.
I mean, that's an obvious one. But to be fair, it's really whoever's hand is up Joe Biden's ass. Because he's just a decrepit monkey skeleton.
Well, he's the puppet of the year, then.
Yeah.
The guy who told you to press all F4.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Hey,
that's a good one.
Brian, what is going on with the border? I don't want to get into politics, but I know because I haven't seen. No, I know. And for those people that don't know, there's like 5,000 migrants crossing the border every day. They're not getting searched, or they don't need papers. They don't need documents. It's all mainly military-aged men. And they're not coming from Mexico by the looks of it.
No,
right?
They're people from all over the world.
Yeah. I got checked. I had to present my green card, all the rest of it. I should have just went via Mexico. It's very easy these days. But what is the reasoning behind that, and why aren't more people talking about it? And now they just signed off. And by the way, I'm all for helping people. I really am. Helping the less fortunate. I'm all about it. But California just said they're going to give them all free healthcare. It's going to cost something like $3 billion per year.
Where's California getting another $3 billion from?
I spend $3,500 a month for my health insurance for my family. That irks me a little bit.
You gotta move to Texas or something, Mike.
You got to come to Nebraska, Mike.
Yeah.
I've been looking. Yesterday, me and Rebecca, we spent so long researching places on the East Coast where we're going to move to.
Why the East Coast?
North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
North Carolina is where we're going more than likely.
Charlotte is really nice.
Dog, we will drive down all the time.
Charlotte.
My manager lives in Charlotte, and she's from Raleigh. You'll have to reach out to her to help you out. She got some.
Because I went to Greenville, South Carolina for a UFC event once, and I just thought it was amazing.
I love Charlotte.
because I love the countryside and the greenness and the rivers and the lakes and the mountains, you know, and also the zero taxes or the much lower taxes. And in North Carolina, the winters aren't too crazy. You know, still get a nice summer.
Yeah, but you get some season changes though.
To be fair, coming from California, you could move to New York and the taxes would be better. So
yeah, no, I know.
Literally anywhere.
I haven't seen my tax bill this year, but I know it's sent. I know it's done. Normally, my accountant gives it to me on New Year's Eve. Last year, I went to bed. You know, I haven't seen it yet this year. That's why I'm still in a pretty good mood. But dildo of the year. Last thoughts? Anyone? Are we going with Colby Covington?
If it makes you feel any better, it is Tuesday. I got my tax bill like 2 days ago, and I'm drinking it. Started drinking at noon Tuesday. That tells you how good it went.
And picking up another fight in 2 weeks.
Yep, I'm gonna be fighting.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah,
I'm gonna fight 9 times this year.
Who are you taking on this time? You know, my God, everyone's saying Colby Covington, Raul Ross is due. Oh God, Ian Gary.
Little bit Ian Gary.
There's a little bit
Ian
of
Gary wins
Ian Gary
for taking his wife's ex-husband's last name before his. All of those things are wrong, but especially in that order.
I gotta go cold. You talked about a man's passed away father.
Hold on. So there's a conspiracy theory going around right now because, and I like Ian. You know, he said a few things and whatever recently, but whatever. Okay.
About you?
No, not about me. Just in general that people haven't vibed with. You know, and we don't need to go into it. But he posted those. There's a conspiracy theory going around that the pictures are fake of him being sick, right? A few YouTubers are commenting on this. Chael Sonnen's been commenting on it. And the case they put forth is that it shows 4 or 5 different pictures in various stages throughout his sickness and his pneumonia and all the rest of it. And he's curled up in a ball and he's looking sick and malaise and all the rest of it. But in every shot, he's got different clothes on, but he's got the same socks with love hearts on. So the theory is that he just made, because like who wears the same socks 4 days in a row?
Right.
So
nobody gets 4 pairs of socks that are exactly the same and wears them every day.
With love hearts on them? No. Brian, bring up the pictures for me and Gary. I'm not trying to shit on him further. And I wish him all the best.
I didn't see this.
This is what people are saying, not me. And I'm throwing it to the panel and seeing what you think. Because
he's like, I'm not going to say it. I want to make you guys say it.
I just saw it on social media, guys. That's always the get out of jail free card. So apparently people are saying, no, but that is what's going around at the minute. And yeah, okay, if he had showed up to that press conference, there would have been a shitstorm. A lot of people would have talked shit, and he was there. It would have been easy pickings. But here we go. Yeah, people have been zooming in. Love hearts.
Okay.
Love heart socks. Love heart socks.
I think that's the end of the pictures, but
yeah,
you get the point.
What do you?
And if not, you need to change your socks, you scurvy fuck.
Either he faked pneumonia or he needs better foot hygiene. I guarantee he's got fungal nail infection. Oh dear.
Well, look, to be fair, to be completely fair, it looks like he's wearing multiple pairs of socks in these pictures. So it could just be his outside layer is always heart socks for some reason.
Because he's got a big heart and he loves his wife. And to be fair, pneumonia, I've never had it, but I'm sure you feel cold when you layer up. So there we go.
And maybe he just feels like shit and he hasn't showered in a couple of days and he's just changing and moving around.
I do that.
Correct. There we go. Here's the other side. We're putting both cases forward. And yeah, to be fair, you don't feel like showering. I'm assuming if you got pneumonia and the flu, you know, your hair's not on point.
Yeah, you're not trying to stand up for elongated periods of time either.
Yeah.
Who's he fighting now? Because his fight changed, right?
Jeff Neal.
He's back to Jeff Neal. Remember when because that fight never happened. When he posted, he wore the T-shirt with Jeff Neal's mugshot on it, and then I think Jeff Neal got hurt and had to pull out of the fight. And
that's why Neil Magny stepped in.
I believe that's why. Yeah, that's why he ended up fighting Neil Magny.
Okay, all right.
I don't know the Neil Magny thing. Him kind of shitting on my man Neil might get you nominated for Dildo of the Year, though.
Oh man,
it's Colby on. So we're saying
he kind of messed with Neil's situation with the custody of his kids, and
is that true? Because I did hear that after all that talk, there was some talk about custody
He had
Of
some
his
issues.
children.
He's having some issues in court, and yeah, it's pretty big dildo move.
Oh, dear. Well, it's with sincere regret that I have to formally announce the 2023 Dildo of the Year goes to Ian, the future, Machado, Gary.
Fireworks and explosions everywhere.
With
We'll send him we'll send him a trophy.
It'll be right there with the Segway of the Year trophy. All right. Anything else we need to get to, Herringbone, before we go to a question or two? Because we've been going for a little bit here. And I got to say, Anthony, and for everyone listening, a lot of people have been saying, where's the podcast? Where's the podcast? We're all human beings. We've got to wind down. We've got to de-stress. We want to come back invigorated, give you a good show, which I think we've done. Anthony needed a little bit of alone time, shall we say, but we're back with the bang, and we appreciate all of the support.
Yeah, I just checked. Nothing absolutely breaking. I will get back to you if anything pops up.
Perfect.
And that's
Love
nice.
that. That's
Right.
that.
Okay. Well, great show, guys.
That was a great show. I do feel invigorated too.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. Little therapy session with Bisping. That might be my next move. I might go into that. All right. If you have a question, please send it into bympod@gmail.com. And with that said, Harrington is back.
If you are listening on a Spotify, wherever you find podcasts, make sure you're subscribed. Leave us a 5-star rating, positive review. It really helps us out. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and you hit that notification bell to find out whenever a new episode drops. And if you want to catch over 500 episodes you can't find anywhere else, completely ad-free and totally uncensored, head to gasdigital.com. Use the promo code BYM, get a 7-day free trial. Check out over 20 great shows on the network.
Before Brian jumps in, I did want to say this. I just saw in the headline there. You know, you were talking about you went on a bit of a drinking binge, etc., Anthony, not trying to bring the mood down. Aljamain Sterling says that it's been hard to get back into shape for Kelvin Cater because 2 months after the Sean O'Malley fight, he was drinking and smoking a lot of marijuana, and now it's hard to get back in shape. It's a natural process, brother.
Yeah, it is. It takes you a minute it takes you a second just to pull yourself out of your funk. Cause I'm eating like shit too. Like I'm eating everything. I've been cooking my ass off. Like I'm cooking everything. I'm eating shit. I've been eating like shit, and I've loved every second of it, but it's going to be tough to pull myself back.
I got in really good shape again for Tales from the Octagon, just simply because of the stress, because it's not what I do. Do you know what I mean? I had to do 30 minutes on stage by myself like I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm not a stand-up comedian, although it went pretty fucking good, if I'm honest. But the stress of that alone caused me to lose weight. Point of the story is it's all back. It's all back because I spent 2 weeks in England. It pissed it down with rain every single day. I lived off pies, meat pies, chicken and mushroom pies.
That sounds good.
Bloody good. Sausage rolls, steak and kidney pudding, steak and ale pie, fish and chips, sticky toffee pudding.
Lots of beer.
Beer every day. Vodkas at night.
Yes. There we go.
Another glass of wine in bed whilst we watch the shitty shows on TV. So yeah, the diet's back with a bang, and I will be lecturing and telling you all that I don't drink. With that said, Brian, what is the first question, please?
All right, we got a question here from Alex.
How's it going, BYM family? My name is Alex from New Mexico. My question is gonna be a little different. It's not as MMA, heavy. You guys haven't posted a podcast in a while, and I love the show. I'm the biggest fan. First of all, I'm sorry, Michael Bisping. I admire you. I respect you so much. I don't miss a podcast. One of my favorite fighters ever in the world. I just one day dream to just have a beer with you and just, chillax. And then vice versa. Same thing goes for Anthony Smith. Okay. First UFC pay-per-view event I ever went to live was Anthony Smith versus Jon Jones. I was the most scared I've ever been for Jon Jones ever, and I'm a huge MMA fan. I like to think I'm super knowledgeable. I am way farther than a casual up here, but that's a conversation I'd like to have with you guys one day in person. That'd be cool. No, but so my question is, with the podcast, did you ever think it would affect someone's life, right? Like you guys not dropping the podcast the last month has affected me, man. I can't, every Tuesday and Thursday I wait for you guys. Like, did you guys ever think that'd be the case? I want to hear your thoughts. Happy New Year's. Love you guys. Be safe. And yeah, Harrington, go fuck yourself. Just kidding, dude. I love you.
Whoa. First of all, Harrington gets a lot of abuse, but we all love him. And I have to say that every time. Now, thank you for the question. We appreciate that. How did you feel having a little break, Anthony? It's nice having a little. Honestly, I needed it.
Yeah, I needed it too. Just with, the 2 episodes a week, the radio show, and then all the ESPN and commentating stuff that you have, and the desk work that I have. It's just a lot. It's a lot of like output. You're kind of just, your brain has to be turned on all the time. So it was kind of nice to not that I missed talking with you guys, but it was nice to just not have anything expected of me for a couple weeks and just chill out and just relax, really, and just not, because you always have something you're looking forward to. Like, I got to do this at this time. I got to do this on this day at this time. And I didn't really have that. So it was nice. And it was nice to, I'm sure that it, I don't know, give the believers something to look forward to.
Well, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And you're absolutely right, because it wasn't just a podcast. My YouTube channel, I wasn't doing videos on there. I took all my stuff to England, as I said, but I was just like, do you know what? I'm not doing it. I just need a break. I need to decompress. Everyone else gets a week off or whatever it is, and I'm still going to do this every day. So, no, we didn't think, that was never the plan. You know what I mean? But I love doing this. I enjoy our conversations. I'm glad that everyone else does. I again, going back to the start of the show, Anthony, I really respect your honesty, because I'm sure that's going to be the big takeaway from this show. You know what I mean? You've come out, you've brought the silence, if you will, for want of a better word. And it's a great way to do it. And just get those thoughts off. I mean, does it feel better now that you've spoke about it a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I didn't do it right away, because here's what happens. Typically I fight and then we got a show on Monday. And then sometimes I'll take the Monday off, but I'm back on Thursday, and I haven't always completely processed it. So I haven't really figured out how I actually feel about it, whether it's a win or a loss. And so it was nice to just completely digest it, kind of manage it, categorize where I'm at, and then just let it go, and my goal for the beginning of the year, we talked about resolutions, but my actual resolution was just to get back to regular life. Like, I got to start, like, my manager called me twice since we've been on the show, and I haven't talked to them in weeks. So like, I gotta get back to those phone calls. I got to get back on my shit. I got a lot of obligations as far as endorsements and sponsors, and I haven't done any of it. So I got to get back to regular life and get back to my responsibilities. So this was what I was waiting for, to be honest with you. Like, after we do the show, I'll get back to regular life.
Yeah. And there it is. Well, and I look forward to it, Anthony. And we look forward to you being back in the Octagon. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the show. We do appreciate you very, very much. We're going to be back on Thursday. Anthony's not going to be on that one, though. But don't worry, we'll be back. We're going to be joined by a couple of great guests. Thanks for watching. Happy New Year, you sons of bitches. Take care.